We're ready. Jerry, you're on?
Don't forget I've got
Yes.
cases too.
And-
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah.
Good evening. So we did, as per our usual practice, meet in a closed executive session prior to the start of the formal CAL meeting. During that closed executive session, we did talk about a number of cases, including the tax appeal litigation filed by Bloomingdale's, the ongoing litigation involving former Chief Zisa, and a personal injury matter entitled Jasmine versus Lupino. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can move on to the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. First up on the agenda is a presentation of the SAP branding from the Main Street Business Alliance.
Hey, anybody from the Alliance? Come on up. Sure, but I need them up.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Thank you for having us. Thanks to the Mayor and Council for considering this proposal.
We can't hear you.
I don't think this is working.
You gotta get close.
No, I'm close. Is there a button on here?
It's up. You gotta get.
Yeah, now it's on. Now it's on? Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, that's on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm the chairman, I'm Brian Kenyon, the chairman of the Main Street Business Alliance, also known as the SAC Business Alliance. And we're here this evening to present to you the branding for the district, which is roughly the area from the courthouse up through 7-Eleven with various areas that are not included in the district. As you know, the city has taken upon, has spent a great deal of money putting in lighting, decorative lighting. Both the cities put them in and some developers have put them in. And it is our intention or proposal to try to use some of the stanchions of this lighting for our banners. I think when you look through the proposal, you will see that these are not the banners that we used to see in Hackensack in days gone by, where this is a more modern look, a more comprehensive look. And the idea here is not only to brand the downtown, but brand what's happening within the downtown. For example, we have Sacktoberfest coming. If we had banners in the downtown, we would be able to market Sacktoberfest through these banners. I think it's also important that we understand that Streetworks was very instrumental to the work through the Main Street Business Alliance in showing us, the Alliance and the city, the benefits of going through this rezoning and how all of this has come together today. But the beginning of it, the foundation for it, was a plan created by Streetworks. And Streetworks was steadfast in their direction that we've got to have a brand and identify where our downtown is, what are our borders. They've got to have a sense of arrival. People have to know they're in the SAC, okay? They have to know they're in our downtown that we're working so hard to promote. So, having said that, I'd like to turn this over to David Green from he's the president of Results Advertising, and he's going to go through this presentation with you. And if you have any questions, either Ed Decker, the vice chair of the Main Street Business Alliance, or Dave Green or myself are happy to answer any questions you may have when he finishes the presentation. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for,
Good evening.
how are you today?
Here.
Everybody else? We have been fortunate to provide marketing services for the Main Street Alliance, and, sorry, I have a large mouth, so I don't know if I need a mic, but here we go. So we've been fortunate to have served the Main Street Business Alliance in a number of marketing capacities over the last year and a half. And one of the things that I think are really important that I've brought up is certainly the use of banners, pole banners. Sounds simple, but they're one of the most important marketing vehicles we can use as both a city and an alliance together. I think it serves a number of purposes. If you can turn, I have a printed piece here because my eyes are not great, so feel free, I think I've distributed some material. So, you know, pole banners have been used all across New Jersey. They're in, I would say, probably most of the communities between down the shore, Newark, Jersey City, Hoboken, all the areas, and I made a list, just a little sampling of some of the towns that have this park. I think when you drive through a downtown, particularly the Sac, you have to have a sense of community. You have to have something that supports the branding message. This is not something that's unusual. This is something that's done all across the United States. And it has a number of viable purposes which serve primarily to lower the cost for some promotional events that we're going to be sponsoring, that the SAC is putting on, that the city's putting on. These are things that at the end it provides all kinds of pride, hometown pride, and foot traffic for local retailers and commerce. These are things that are going to be very, very important for moving forward to try to garner support from both merchants and people. So imagine yourself driving down through the city. You want to have a sense of community, and this is what. Sorry, I'm getting over it. But this is what the Main Street Alliance purpose is for moving forward in terms of what we would like to do. So if you allow me, why does it matter? Well, I mentioned a couple of things, and it certainly is about emotionally putting in signage that resonates with residents. So you want people to feel a sense of camaraderie, you know, the merchants, people that are driving through town, to bring a sense of home and viability, of economic viability. These are things that are very, very positive for growth, the culture of our area governance, environment, talent, and reputation of the city. So please allow me to continue, and I'll show you what I have in mind. So since, you know, we've gone through a significant, if you look at the website, for example, the downtown Hackensack, which we went through a rebranding process about a year and a half ago, it already changed hue of what we're trying to do from garnering support. So what we want to do is kind of complement that with the design that we came up with for sure as we move forward. So one of the things that's important, I think, you have to have a beginning and an end to a downtown, to a district, to the Sac Business Alliance. So you're driving down right now, we want to get a feel for what is, where does it start and where does it end? And we worked hard at trying to come up with a plan that I think that's going to be palatable for you to engage in. Shopping and restaurants and arts, these are all things that are very, very important that we have to get across, okay? So let's talk about some of the benefits, and I think that these are important. The light pole banners help the city's unique identity and give communities a voice. Fact. Please, all these are supported by various professionals in the industry besides myself, so please feel free to look up some of these domains and so on. Pole banners capture the attention, as I mentioned to you, of drivers, so and bring about cohesiveness in the area. That's very, very important. As you see here, we came up with a very, very visual campaign, which is going to be able to, you sense a pride. It feels good, feels like it's alive, vibrant. That's what we're trying to get across. It's very important. And I think that it's also, at the end of the day, it's about bringing money into the merchants, commerce, and that's what it's about. If people feel good, They want to shop here, they're going to spend more money here, and that's what it's about. So, when we talk about events, this is what's very, very important. It's about lowering the cost, because at the end of the day, if they're driving through and with all the cars that are coming through on a daily basis, you're promoting an event. Sacktoberfest, for example. One of them that will, at the end of the day, will lower the cost of promotional activities, of dollars that are going in here, because they're driving through. It's a heavy mobile, heavy interest in terms of engagement, client engagement. They'll go on the website and they're going to get more traffic. We have to get eyeballs from our community looking at our signage. I think it's very, very important. So I think at the end of the day, if it lowers dollars for us in promotion of what we're spending, that's really key. So let's talk about some facts. I won't bore you with a lot. You can go through several of these items on your own, but 15.6%, and this is a study that's done by the Signage Association and Economic Center at the University of Cincinnati. It can add up to 15.6% to your bottom line. And because of sales, it's empirically proven. 58% of drivers claim to have gotten product information from banner advertising. That's a fact. 25% of customers have visited a website based on outdoor. So if you're driving along and people don't know where the Sack is, they're just driving out, they're going to look, and it's a brand that we need to bring out that's going to help our merchants thrive for our city. 71%, I'm sorry, I'm not telling you to turn, but you're following my page, thank you. 71% of consumers read messages on roadside outdoor advertising. That's a survey by PSA Research Centers. 38%, this is very, very important stat right here, because they can boost mobile interaction with brands. So people, are 98, 99% on your cell phones today. I mean, nobody's really doing too much desktop work anymore. But so that's really, really critical. They're in the car, they're walking on the street, they're looking at a Sacktoberfest event, they're looking at a retail promotion, they're looking at the name, they're feeling the vibrancy of the city, and they're going on and they're engaging in certain events. And you'll see it also with online traffic. Okay, so what do we have in mind? So there were roughly 116 light poles on Main Street and Washington Street.
Washington Place.
But what I said, sorry, maybe I misfigured it. Washington Place. So it's 116. We counted them, by the way, also, just to be careful. 36. We're proposing that 36% of these poles are used for banners. So the banners, it won't be right side by side. Right now on the street they're diagonally. They're not even, if across the street, they're not really, most of them are not next to one another either. They're like kind of shifted, right?
They're not directly across from one another.
Right.
There's a sort of a different cadence.
Right.
Okay.
So we're not proposing, our visual today maybe show them they're next, but they're not next to one another. So that's very, very important key to know. They're only proposing 36%. And these are not, they're not permanent signs, and they can be changed with promotions. And that's very, very important to know here, because when we have an event that we want in the city, that we want to promote in the Sack, we can interchange those for the holidays, even at some point in a year from now. So we're talking 42 light poles, which is light pole banners, which you're going to see, and then 16 Sack logo blaze signs at the major intersections. So, pardon?
Metal, right?
Yes, and those as I explained in the creative, the pole banners are really, they're vinyl. I think they're vinyl material, and the Sack logo, we're proposing aluminum. A certain substrate.
Something permanent. It's
Right.
not something that's going to age.
Right.
We want something that's going to stay there.
16 of those.
And 16 of those. That's
Correct.
permanent. That doesn't get old looking. And our whole focus here is whatever we do, if they get old, we got to change them. We got to keep them fresh. It doesn't help our downtown if they start getting tattered looking. They've gotta look fresh, and we've gotta make sure they stay fresh in content and in look.
Is that 16 of the 42, or is that an addition?
Addition.
Six
So it's
edition.
42 plus the 16.
Yeah.
22 plus 16. So, remember, what I'm gonna show you is not next to one another. Well, they look like they are, but they're not. So, hey, by the way, this is the sampling on the next page, if you'll go to the next page, of, this is just a few of the towns that have them. You know, Oakland, Montclair, Hoboken, Kentucky. I don't know anybody that really doesn't have it, to be honest with you. It's something, it's energy, you know, it's something that identifies a part of the culture and the community. And I think it's something that really is important to have. And I've been really, wondering how we can have this opportunity to speak to you today to propose this. So I think it's important. So let's talk a sample campaign, okay, of what we have in mind. So if you look at this kind of touches upon life, and it picks up the colors of the brand that we have, and some of the good feeling that somebody's driving down and they know they can dine here, they know they can, there's arts here and culture, and you'll see on the next page how it plays out. It's a little illustrative. You know, we're trying to be a little hipper in terms of some of the culture that we're trying to bring in here, in terms of the art and some of the designs that we have. We're using light colors. It's very vibrant. These are the things that garner these type of, I think, community. And I think that is really important. And there's a sample, as you'll see, on the right side, before this. Sorry,
Do that.
go back.
Yeah.
Of Sacktoberfest. That's an event. So, this will be, there's the date of what this event is. So this is something that brings more bodies in here that we don't have to promote. We don't have to spend money to promote. These are really important. This is going to lower your cost. Lower the cost, I should say. Lower the cost of promotion. And that's very, very important. Okay.
Even if you do a food truck Friday event or something,
Exactly.
Or pack the house.
Or pack the house, but that's the hack pack.
Or anything in that.
But
We can do
food
that.
truck Fridays, I mean, when we engage with people and tell them it's happening, they're like, well, I didn't know. But we've sent out blasts and everything else. This is an opportunity to leverage these signs for those types of uses.
Right.
And again, keeping them fresh and changing, not letting them get tattered and dingy. Okay?
And again, the next one, if you'll recall, if you'll see, and I am proposing that we do two, of side by side. It gets a little bit more effect, particularly the fact that we're not going to be next to one another. These will not appear like this, but I wanted to just lay them out to show you what the opportunity would be like visually, each one in its own right. So, we have housing, we have shopping, we have dining, we have, restaurants, arts, bars, everything that shows life. And that's something that we really, really need here. It also shows that identifies and defines the SAP, which I think is extremely important. And so this would be, the next one is the sample of this permanent, quote-unquote, aluminum sign, a metal sign, that would be used at the intersections specifically. So these are something that wouldn't change, they would be kind of permanent, that we're proposing to be permanent. So you're going down there, and we have the other banners that are, going to be changed for a particular promotion or time of year, or we're not limited to what we can do, in terms of our messaging. Our messaging can change accordingly.
And if you look at this piece right here, our focus was, hitting the main, we looked at the whole, we went on numerous occasions, walked, drove, looked at the street, and we thought, what could be a good balance? And, there's been some consideration of what we could reduce the number of signs to, but we thought that this blade was appropriate to have two at the corners of Anderson, Passaic, Camden, Salem, Banta, Demorest, Washington Place on the street, okay? And Essex, if we can get Essex, okay? Somewhere in Essex we'd like to get.
Basically at the corner.
But we're missing a couple streets in there. We're missing we're missing streets like Berry.
Just Allen.
So we're not hitting every street because we're just trying to hit the critical streets where it sort of defines it. And we didn't go way up north. okay? But that could be a consideration down the road, but for now, that was the logic of this.
Do you plan to put signs on State Street?
No. I think that, I think that, A, it's not in the district, but I think this is sort of, you know, we know the city has some hesitations to this, okay? And we thought this was a good way for us to start a program on this basis, give it a shot, and then, and we're hopeful that the city's gonna say, hey, you guys have managed this well, we like it, we're willing to continue on with it, and that's what we really want. We want to have, you know, we use these in our shopping centers, in our business. We're always changing them out, okay? Because if you don't change them out for the seasons or whatever, and they do get dingy looking, you've got, it's counterproductive, because it doesn't show our downtown well if we let that happen.
So, from here, this is an interesting part of the presentation, because I think we're proposing to have an entrance and an exit. So this was an idea that we had to, you're driving in through the SAC, you're entering the SAC, and it's welcoming people in this capacity. So this could be essentially one sign for the entrance. I think it would be probably right towards Atlantic, right? Bergen.
Would have to be on each side, it's two-way.
Right.
Have to go over the whole road.
Right, so it will be visible from both ways. And I think this is a great way of, you're getting into the district and you're really acknowledging that you're entering a place that has its own identity within the city. And I think that's extremely important for this moving forward from a merchant vitality standpoint. And I think it's very cool, you know. I mean, we can talk about visuals and everybody has their own opinion of colors and this and that, but this is, you know, we kind of narrowed down on this for our, you know, presentation because I think it feels good, it feels alive, and that's just something that I needed to bring here to this downtown effort marketing.
And I think it's important to note that we're not asking the city for any funding for this. Whatever we have to do to just, will come out of, whatever has to be spent will come out of the budget for the MSBA, okay, SAC Business Alliance, and fund it that way. But this is something we've seen in other districts, okay? I've seen them in Arizona, I've seen them in Maryland, I've seen them in DC Market. I think I saw them, I've seen it up in Connecticut at a couple of those downtowns. But the content and the whole theme here, I think, can be improved upon. But the idea of doing it, on this one, the idea of doing it, I think, is a great idea. It's a matter of finding the right place that the city could live with, and you know, make that part of our downtown.
Can I answer any questions pertaining to this? I don't throw a lot at you.
One of my questions.
I think we have to maybe have Ryan give the city's issues first to discuss.
That's fine, right?
Ryan could just come up and explain some of the issues that we can, trying to be prepared and look into some of this ahead of time, knowing you guys are. You guys know Ryan, that's right.
Right, I think for some reason, the beer is the beer.
You got 10.
I think one of the city's main issues is regarding the banners is the PSE&G decorative light poles. We lease them, and PSE&G has previously advised us that they will not allow banner poles, the banners to be hung from the lights. So that's kind of the information we're going on. I don't know if that's something we could bring up to PSE&G to see if that could be altered or not. But when we were in the early stages of planning our Main Street improvements, I think it was like January of 2020, we met up in council chambers with some supervisors from Palisades Division, and they pretty much flat out told us, you know, no banners. But like I said, I don't know if that could be revisited or not, but that's one of the main issues.
What we did do was, just in a start, but we noticed there's 4 poles that were put up, 4 back.
At Demarest, yeah.
At Denver's, like around Denver's place, if you look, there's like 2 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, we're not saying that's enough or whatever, but that was like the thought at that point when we were told that we really couldn't use these extra light poles. We're doing this, we said, all right, let's get a start. I don't know who picked 4, I think it was engineering, said, let's put them here, it'd be a place to start and see how it worked. So, I mean, I don't know where we
Can
are.
somebody reach out
I
to
mean, you
them?
can certainly add more.
But I think the 4 there, that's not gonna do it. I looked at those.
No, I understand, but-
I don't think there's 4 for some reason.
It is full.
Is there 4
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
One
Two
was
and seven,
planning.
okay.
Yeah.
And those, I thought we had more of those in the district, and we don't. But you know, it seems interesting that all these towns have this on the poles in all these places, and it's not in your public service agreement, because we checked that out, right? So it's not in the agreement. I think, you know, my feeling is this, that there's always ways with these utilities to push them, you know, to say, listen, you know, we want this, it's important to the city. If it is, I think it's important, and I represent my whole board when I come here this evening. And just to give you an idea, the whole board supports this with the exception of one member who we couldn't get a hold of, no matter how hard we tried, okay? So we really think this is important for the downtown, okay? It's a good step. I think we can work with public service. You know, I'm willing to sit down and meet with them. If you guys think that is helpful. I know the city has certain leverage with public service because they need you guys a lot. So I'm sure you guys have a sense of a certain type of leverage. I'm sure the city manager has had those kind of experiences in his career, correct? Yeah. But
I mean, I think there's something that I think we have to look into. I think number one, we have to engage in understanding what the real issue and is there a way to resolve it? And the backup would be, if we needed to, add more banner poles. I'm not saying we could do 42 all at once, but, you know, maybe we could start with a plan if that's what it comes down to. Like, it sounds like there's different ways that we can accomplish this, is all I'm trying to say. Was like, that was our first, you know, roadblock that we had. And I remember these discussions with Ryan saying years ago when we first started with planning, and that's why we put, and I don't know who picked 4, you know, but that's what happened. We said, let's at least put something so we see what it's gonna look like and let's take a stab at it. That's why they were put there, because we were told we really could do it on the
But I thought there were crossbars at one point as part of your contract, and then somehow I thought over the years that got removed or taken out.
I'm going back to when we, like 2019, 2020, when we first started. Before that, when I think Boswell was involved with the palette design, there may have been, you know, just an option for that, but that was before. So I'm not
This
sure.
is what we're fine, but I'm saying we have to at least look into some of this stuff and figure out how to accomplish it. We just want to learn the here for himself, the presentation, we were thinking, that we explain, you know, this is, you know,
My question was, you guys did a great job with the Christmas decorations or holiday decorations, I should say. How is that gonna work out, if say this is all worked out? And you have these banner poles out, how is that gonna work?
This year, the holiday decorations, we purchased, last year we just wrapped them with lights.
Right,
Okay?
I remember.
This year, and that was sort of a stopgap. It was sort of, you know, actually, as Albert reminded me, Albert is the one who thought about doing that, okay? And got a text from him, and we were able to get that installed by the holiday, because we were basically doing nothing. And it worked, and we were really happy with the way it looked.
Yeah.
This year, we're doing that, but we're having garland
Right.
as part of
To
it,
look
you know?
nice.
You know, back in the day, the city used to install all those decorations and the stars and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
The DPW used to do that work. Now we're doing it, but this year it's with the full garland going up the pole. And to answer the question, we would work it so it would work with the banner designs. Okay? We're not going to let that go away because we think that's important.
Okay. Stephanie, any question?
I mean, I think we see, my opinion is we see what we're trying to do, and we appreciate that, and we feel that we're doing a lot to the downtown. The issue that personally that I have with a lot of this is, and the city is big on having 1 3 5 year plans, but the success that I think we've had as a council over the past 8 years has been taking lists of things that we think need to get done and prioritizing them, realizing we want all of this to happen. And you can't do everything at once, right? So, to me, to have a banner over a dead plant or a plant that's full of weeds, it's not gonna be very attractive. So, to me, we have to look at what do we do first, what's most important? And one of the things, that the city is struggling with is, that the Main Street Alliance always took care of those kinds of things in Main Street, and understanding that yes, now there's more of it to take care of, but these things are usually like something in front of your home, like if you're a homeowner, there's a tree, that's a city tree, we don't go around watering all the trees throughout the city to the residents, so it normally would be either the store owner, or in the case, as it always had been, is the Alliance, is that they pay a certain amount of money to the Alliance to do some of these things. So,
Excuse me?
they pay their, whatever their assessment to the Alliance, that the Alliance does certain things, like you pick up garbage, you were watering plants before, whatever it was that was happening. So, to me, we have to get over some of the humps, right, and with the Alliance. And so, we're hoping, I'm hoping, and I think that the rest of us are hoping, that we can come to terms with the relationship between the city and the Alliance has to be a little bit of give and take. And we have to worry about things to us that right now are big issues. That, some of the things that you were tasked with and things that are, looking better, I know the building department is working with you guys on it, is like getting some of these storefronts cleaned up. I mean, the first time you bring somebody into the city has to have a good impression, right? So, so to us, let's say this needs to happen, but let's make sure that the things that should precede that are also happening. Okay, and that's, a lot of what we were trying to get done this year, is let's bring people here and, okay, you guys, I don't know if you have, I haven't looked at what you've accomplished so far this year, but, giving some small business loans to some people that might need help cleaning their storefront out. And I know a lot of people, I think, feel good about the way their storefronts look, they're starting to look better, and it's always, the first bunch of them go pretty quickly, and then you start running into, there's exceptions to every rule, right? So, now I'm hoping you guys, you have a good relationship with your business owners. Let's figure out the ones that aren't getting it done or saying they can't get it done. How do we do a lot of that?
I understand.
You understand what my concerns
I
are.
appreciate
You have a limited,
it.
you have a limited budget, and this is gonna happen. We're not saying it's not, this is gonna happen. To what extent and how we phase it in so you can afford it, and so we can do some of these other things that I think, if you think about it, are important too. It's important you wanna bring folks here, and I understand that we need to do that. But we want to bring them here so they have a good impression of how the downtown really looks.
Can we say that, I saw that there's a meeting coming up with the visual improvements to discuss specific storefronts and stuff. Maybe since that's a concern of the council, we can report our successes on those measures as they
A
come
lot
by
of
the
them
end of
look,
the
a
year.
lot of them look way better, right? A lot
Let
of
me
folks.
just say, the chairman of our visual improvement committee has just asked for us to go to a meeting
Yeah.
to talk about some
Yeah.
challenges she's
Yeah.
having. And we're working on that. At your recommendation, we've gotten involved with some of these storefronts, signage, and these other areas. And this is a public-private partnership between the Main Street Alliance and the city, okay? And we take on a lot. We clean our streets, we empty our garbage cans, we bring the garbage to the dump, okay? I'm not sure if you realize that. We're not just, there's all sorts of garbage going into these cans and everything else. We're policing, we're cleaning, we're getting rid of graffiti on a regular basis. When it goes up, it comes down. We clean it and we take this garbage and bring it to the dump, okay? All of that's come out of what is usually done by the DPW. The Christmas decorations, we put them up, we take them down, okay? So we're involved, and we spend a lot at the holidays doing the whole holiday party. That used to be a city-borne expense that we've taken on. So there's give and take on both sides, we have to look at that. I would hope that when we look at what the expenses are and how this can get out of hand as it relates to how much more work is now in the district, I think that's where we have to get. We have to get to what is fair for us to take on versus, this cooperation between us and the city. I think that's where that's where the rubber hits the road, I think,
And
on
I
this
think
issue.
maybe that's the discussion, Brian, that we have to have.
Yes.
Is that, I think you'll agree with me that putting up banners over dead plants is not, I don't believe is anything you want, it's certainly nothing we want.
I think it's so important, and I'll tell you why. We've had now 4 potential executive directors come into our district and say, where is your district? Where does it start? Where does it end? And why aren't you branding yourselves? And they're trying to understand where the district is. And that to me, when you're advertising the SAC and you're advertising people to come to the SAC, and then they come and they go, are we in the SAC? Are we not in the SAC? Where is the SAC? And
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that we understand what you're presenting. We see that these things have to happen. It's all, to me, it's all about, let's take a long, hard look about what really needs to get done and in what order. Or can we do it simultaneously? But to me, we have to conquer some of these serious issues first. Or together. We can't just put one off or the other. And that's, I think, the discussion we have to have.
Excuse me, in the interest of time, I would say, why don't we take this offline, have that meeting, and move forward from there.
But apart from the plants and the banners, I think that certainly the Alliance is the most well equipped to clean up the people, the storefronts on the street. So I think that in order, because sometimes, when you drive by, it's difficult to see. So I would love to present something similar to this if you guys wanted to see it, maybe around the year, maybe in the first week of January, to show some successes that we have specific, saying, like some before and after, for some specific things that we've cleaned up in that, which really that has nothing to do with the dead plants and the banner. It's a completely separate issue, and we really have to deal with that. So I think that we should do that, and I think we should report back to you guys in January with at least 5 or 6 days. Hey, listen, this was what it was. This is what
I'm
it
just
is.
using that as an example, and I'm giving you credit for saying, look at how far we've come.
Yeah, but
These things aren't tasks that, that you have to continue to do rigorously. We have to conquer it, and we're there, we're getting there, we're really moving forward in that. And I think the same thing is gonna be when we get into a schedule of how we're gonna manage what's there, how we're gonna maintain the whole new streetscape that the city invested heavily in doing. Now, that's part of the downtown now. How do we continue to maintain that? And part of it is gonna be also doing the types of things you're talking about. But let's not forget that we have to get everything on the table. That's all I'm saying.
Understood.
So let's get this meeting together. I know how, me with branding, I know how important it is. We chose the SAC as the brand, and we gotta push it forward, and we gotta get it out there. And I agree, there needs to be a start, or a beginning point and end point, so we define where we are as far as the district, so that's important. I'm interested very much in the presentation and what was shown. So let's get this meeting together and move forward from there. All right?
Thank you, Brian, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice to see you.
Good to see you. Okay.
Mayor, second item is regarding an ordinance regarding yard sales, some changes that were made regarding the yard sale ordinance. And I think we're keeping it at 2 days, is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, this actually sets forth, pretty comprehensive list of rules and regulations. It does provide that a homeowner can have a garage sale once per year for a period of 2 days. To be clear, there's no formal permit required, there is no fee being charged. They'll just have to comply with sort of basic common sense rules. It's gotta be neat, there's limited hours, you can't use, sound devices, common sense stuff. for buildings that are complexes, right, apartment complexes, condo complexes, those are limited to building wide, so that, you know, people, if you have 20 units, you can have a garage sale every weekend. So they can either have a collective garage sale for all the units, or, you know, if they allow individual unit owners to hold it, they'll be limited to how many they can do. We also have some provisions regarding estate sales as well. They're handled a little bit differently because those are handled inside. But in any event, you know, we've had some concerns with some folks, you know, holding garage sales frequently or using new merchandise, so prohibits that. A garage sale should be your own personal merchandise or your family's merchandise that you're looking to get rid of, not for you to buy things on the street and sell them out of your garage.
There's no more permit for a garage sale?
No, there's never a permit required in the first place.
There was.
No,
We talked about, now that is an option, look, many towns do require a permit, not all do. There was a discussion if the council would want to see a permit, but again, that would be another administrative
We had a
burden.
block wide yard sale, like over in Burn Street down there. And I think we required, there was a permit required there, if I'm not mistaken.
But maybe because it was the whole
that
process.
was a block party.
Yeah, it's probably
That
too,
was a
like,
It wasn't a block party, it was a garage sale, but it was the.
No, but if it was the whole block, they probably did the block party so that you could, close the street.
No, we didn't.
Yeah,
We didn't close the street.
So how do you know if you got one or two a year?
so I asked, yeah, I asked that, so the Dean Battalion has told me, because I asked that, I said, look, you don't have a permit, and he said, look, you know, when we go around, I mean, if we notice the frequent flyers.
They see the signs.
Yes. You know, you see the signs, so you notice the frequent flyers. I mean, look, if somebody holds 2 a year without a permit, we might not know, but if somebody's holding 5 or 6, no one's looking to be enforcing this in an onerous manner. We're trying to avoid the frequent flyer abusers. So, you know, we can see how it goes. I mean, whether we want to have an actual permitting requirement or not, because it's perfectly feasible and logical. A lot of places do, but not all. Because again, it's, you know, another administrative burden on citizens and management, but that's your call.
The majority of the people do call ahead of time. Like, they'll call my office or they'll call the manager's office and they ask questions.
Right.
So they know what they, like, again, the majority of them know what they can and cannot do.
Because right now, there's no rules at all, practically. There was something, there was like a 1-paragraph thing in the zoning code, and that was it.
And I think Dean said there's been 52 already this year, and I can guarantee you probably about 50 of them have called my office.
And then the regulations regarding signage still remains the same.
Yeah, we let them
No
know,
signs
we
on
let them know that where you can and cannot put the signs and things like that.
And you have to take, you know, you can put them up 7 days before, you gotta take them out 24 hours, you can't put them on light poles, you can't put them on public property. You know, all the stuff that, you know, you would expect in terms of common sense for that.
All right, next, number 3 is regarding the resolution for tonight for a certified fire department program. This is a program that was recommended to us through our risk management, through the Mel and Jeff, the South Bergen Jeff. And the resolution is simply for the acceptance of the terms of the program and a commitment by the fire department to verify completion as per the guidelines. Next is a resolution regarding transportation alternatives and the set-aside grant, and Ryan can just give us a few words on that.
That's their wish list.
Okay. Hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to be presenting a little brief description of the transportation set-aside grant. It's similar to the top grant that we applied for Sussex to Atlantic. This is just another round of funding for that. It's federal funds that gets administrated through the DOT. And the project that we've kind of identified is similar to the Main Street, which would be some streetscape and pedestrian improvements on Anderson Street from beginning at Union Street by the park up to Linden. And the total amount estimated, which does not include resurfacing, this is just, your typical streetscape amenities, curbing, sidewalks, ADA ramps, paver banding, detectable warnings, tree grades, trees, streetscape lighting, benches, trash receptacles, bike racks, etc. And the total estimate is around 1.2 million. The available funding requirements are anywhere from, I think, 300,000 to 1.5, so we're right in that range. We did have a pre-application meeting with the New Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, and they gave us some recommendations on how to get a better score for our project. So we're going to implement more pedestrian safety aspects. We've maybe some road diets, bring the curbs in closer at intersections so people have less walking to do to get across the street. Maybe some bike lanes or sharrows or items like that, if necessary. So this, the resolution is just to support that application, and that's all I have on that. If you guys have any questions?
Go ahead and choose.
Yep. And the sewer improvement and park project for October 3rd. Okay, as far as the CSO work in the Clay Street project area, Clay Street Contract 2, which is Fashini to the outfall. Contractor is making good progress out there. They've set their staging area up. That's within the Toyota property. And we've also started the temporary bypass so that we could begin doing the new outfall. So we have a temporary bypass out there with a 6-inch pump. You can see part of it in the picture, because we have the existing outfall that we had to divert so that we can construct the new one. Contract 3, which is park to the railroad or underneath the railroad. We have to do some relocating of some services, gas and water, and that's ongoing right now. And they also did some test pits out on Clay Street. Non-CSO area, the main project going out there is the Voorhees Lane pump replacement. Test pits were completed. The contractor, J. Fletcher Kramer, is finalizing the generator delivery. This is for backup power because the existing generators run off of gas and we cannot relocate it. So we need backup power while the pit is being dug. So that's looking to get done towards the end of this week. PSC&G is going to be cutting the cap of the gas service. The dewatering wells will be installed this week due to the depth of the pump station. We need to control the groundwater. And the construction fencing has been installed. Park project ongoing still is Stide. They're moving along out there. Hopefully we wrap this up quite quickly. The pavilion slabs, the interior slabs and walkways are being constructed, poured, and formed. The stormwater under the existing playground areas have been installed, and the gazebo is scheduled to be here shortly, early October, and that's where we're at. So hopefully by the end of this month, this project is completed. But all the utilities have been connected.
Keeping everything.
I think we're just waiting for the electric service to be.
Are they actively working there? Because I got actually got a
Yeah,
couple of
they-
phone calls up, we see one guy and he's sitting in
Yeah,
his car
they're-
drinking coffee.
Yeah,
I said, uh-oh.
they're slow, but they show up. So
They are.
They're working. Yeah, it looks good on the inside now. They got a lot of the curbing done around the playgrounds and the stone infill to get ready for the rubber surfacing. So it's really good.
Great.
That's it.
Quick question,
Yes.
just an approximate timeline, when you think they'll be under the railroad tracks and tied into some of this stuff?
There's kind of good news, bad news with that. We have several utilities that need to be relocated. Gas
Right.
mains, that's a little bit easier. The water services, water mains need to be relocated. The issue with that is the time of year. We can't run overland bypass like we did on Main Street because it's winter. Those lines are winterized. So what we're working with, I think we have a meeting, excuse me, tomorrow with Viola to go over some of the coordination is how we the order of operations. Do we put the culvert in, and if the existing water main breaks, do we have a standby crew and just do it so we don't have to relocate the main? And then when we're finished, they come back and, lay a whole new main, we're kind of looking through that. The hospital culverts are expected to be delivered to Lot R by the end of the month.
Yay.
But due to all the relocations, the install is probably gonna be a little bit delayed. It's not probably not gonna happen this year, because it's more in the spring. Like I said, just because there's not a lot of real estate out there, we're putting, 4 by 5 foot box culvert in the ground. And we also have to relocate our existing sanitary. So a lot of places we're gonna have sanitary running on both sides. Relocate the gas on the sidewalk, relocate the water, close to the curb on the other side, and then, the 2 new sewers and the box culvert, so.
Right.
It's ongoing, but we're nailing down a plan, and hopefully, we'll be around soon.
But even getting these culverts, even if you're not through under the railroad, just getting these culverts in there for water retention. Has to help. Has to help.
Yeah,
And so we think when, not until the spring?
probably, yeah. Like I said, it's the 2 relocations. And one of the one of the water lines is a transmission line that's like a 20-inch diameter pipe that runs like under the curb along railroad, so it's, it's not
Never
this
easy.
situation, so.
No.
All right,
Careful planning.
thanks, Ryan.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So, yeah,
That's all.
okay, anybody from the public would like to speak? I'm sorry, motion open to the public? Second. Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg. Deputy Mayor Canestrino. Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay, anybody from the public who would like to speak now, please come up to the podium, give your name to the clerk, you will have 3 minutes, thank you. The clock ready for Frank.
My name is Richard Grant. I'm a longtime resident of Hackensack. I'm here on behalf of the Village Gas and Meadowlands Coalition regarding NJ Transit's ongoing plan for constructing a gas plant in Kearney. 3 times in the past years, Hackensack residents have requested that the city's Environmental Commission oppose projects to construct power plants fired by natural gas, that the Commission consider the potential adverse effects of each plant's pollutants on the health and well-being of residents of Hackensack, as well as the greenhouse gases that would be emitted into a already warming atmosphere during each plant's decades-long life. And that the Commission recommend that the City Council approve a resolution opposing each project. 3 times the Commission advised the Council to approve a resolution, and the Council acted on the Commission's advice, thereby joining other northern New Jersey municipal councils in seeking to protect their residents from potential harm. And it made a difference, because in each case, the governor was moved to act. Where does each project stand? Mitsubishi's plan for a gas plant in North Bergen died after Governor Murphy in October 2019 announced his opposition to the project. The Passaic Valley Sewage Commission's plan for a gas plant in Newark's Ironbound section has been delayed when Governor Murphy intervened, ordering in January of this year that the vote for work to start on the project be paused to conduct a more thorough environmental justice review. And NJ Transit's plan for a gas plant in Kearney appeared to be reshaped a mere 2 weeks after this council approved a resolution opposing the plan, when Governor Murphy directed in October of 2020 that New Jersey Transit redesign its project to use as close to 100% clean renewable power as possible. But that's not what happened over the past 2 years. New Jersey Transit's request for proposals retained the original 140 megawatt gas-fired plant as part of the proposal, keeping the possibility of the same emissions adversely affecting people's health and emitting more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So I am here about the New Jersey Transit project to request that our elected leaders extend Hackensack's existing commitment to opposing those gas-fired power plants through the mayor and council members, each signing a letter to Governor Murphy to express your concerns about the direction of the New Jersey Transit project. In doing so, you would be joining elected officials who now include State Senator Stack, Assemblywoman McKnight, the mayors of Belleville, Kearney, Leonia, Midland Park, and Union City, and council members of Closter, Garfield, Highland Park, Hoboken, Jersey City, and Maplewood. I would be glad to send you a new email that has a link to the letter, more detail, more information, and answer any questions you might have at this time.
Please do, Richard, if you could send it to the clerk's office and she'll distribute it to each council member.
I will do that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next person from the public. How you doing, Barry?
Very good, Mayor Ross and everyone on the council team. They're putting in place a lot of things that concerns housing, and the other part is, the work that's yet to be completed, not only with housing, but where the jobs are considered. There's probably, we all know there's a mass movement taking place with these block grants, everything of that nature. But, what came up was what's going to happen with that large map, that walking, I believe area is, they're going to turn that into apartment buildings. But, there's certain things that can get done, and it's going to take both the number of people, it's going to take the construction people who are going to be able to put all this in place. That's a lot of money. What some people are wondering is if a lot of people be coming from New York City, New Jersey, or what there's being an influx of people, from Prospect, with the consideration if we want to live, Main Street, having here, residents. As a small business person, with very little capital, I guess I don't really feel the brunt of it because why it's coming out of my pocket if I start a company, and then the other thing is, where you're gonna have your company established. So, the mere fact that the grants are provided, $1 million and plus, is very admirable. We have to also consider companies, whether it be minorities, women, men, or companies that are just starting off with very small staff. How are they going to exist if Main Street is the competitive area in town? So, just giving some things to think about. The churches, they have their place, and will that mosque be a place where they're going to consider something that may name or not be named there, Main Street and State Street.
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it. Anyone else from the public like to speak? Go ahead. Come up, sir.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Thomas Shivas, I live in Linden. I had a thought about the issues with the sale of goods on people's properties or whatever. Have you guys ever heard of letgo.com? It's like an app you can use to sell stuff. That might be a way we can reduce people from trying to sell stuff in their front yard. I don't know what the rules are, but maybe you could have the city clerk redirect those calls to that business. People are selling stuff in the front lawns, makes me think they're trying to make cash. Restricting that might be good in the sense that you get, it's not an eyesore or whatever else, whatever negatives may come with a street sale, but using letgo.com, or I think that's a little easier than eBay, just basically take a picture of something, it's, most people can operate. If they can run it, a sale out of their yard, they can probably do that. I guess another question would be, how long are we stuck with this SAC as our, in the city in the economic sense? And how do we come to choose that? Like maybe the hack, we go high tech with it.
Right.
I don't know, it just seems kind of, it seemed kind of weird to me when I saw the sign, you sack somebody, you fire them, there's nothing, doesn't do anything for me. Whereas the hack, even though it's got the negative side of like, you can hack something in a bad way, you can also hack something in a good way, where you use something different than its original intent, which is exactly what we're doing with the word hack from Hackensack. So I don't know, just thinking that. What's COW mean?
Council of the whole.
Council of the whole.
Mhm.
Okay. That's pretty much it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Anyone else from the public? Motion to close.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg. Deputy Mayor Canestrino. Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay, before we go into next meeting, we'll take a 5-minute fire break.
Okay, the first you need to,
Need to close,
Close the
need to
executive
close the
first.
executive session.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg. Deputy Mayor Canestrino. Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Motion to close the council call.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg. Deputy Mayor Canestrino. Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute fire break.